Hi nerds, so today we're going to talk about types of waves. Our learning goal today is to be able to understand the two different types of waves and also what waves are. So by the end you should be able to draw a labeled wave diagram for both types of waves. So here let's define what a wave is. Basically, waves transport energy through a medium, so substance, by moving the energy with no net movement of particles. So let's have a look at those two words first. Net means overall, okay? So there's no movement over all the particles, which means the particles come back, the particles of the medium, come back to the same place where they started. Medium is something that is traveled through. In other words, sound waves travel through air, light waves travel through space, and so forth. But if we have a look over here, and let's see if we can bring that down here a bit, make that a bit bigger. Okay, we can't. So here we have, watch this red particle here. You'll notice that it actually only moves up and down. The wave is moving in this direction, but that red particle just goes up and down. It doesn't, and it has an overall movement right in the middle, probably about here, where it sort of comes backwards and forwards too. Oh, nailed that. So it has an overall movement of 0, okay, because it always comes back to the middle point right here. And the energy is moving this way, but the particle is moving up and down. This is what we call periodic motion. And that means that it's movement that repeats over a period of time. So a certain number of seconds or even hours, whatever. Radiation can move through a vacuum. It's a special type of wave, which means it can move through essentially no medium. Vacuum is space with nothing in it, like space. So let's have a look at a wave diagram. So we have particle motion is going up and down, whereas the energy is going that way. The resting point, which is just here, is the 0 energy position of the particles. Now, it doesn't have any energy, but then energy is put into the particles, and they move up and down like this. Okay, so they go to the peak in one direction, and then they'll move down to the crest, and they'll go backwards and forwards until they have no energy anymore. The crest, the peak or crest is the maximum amount of energy for a particle, the maximum energy position. The trough down the bottom here is the maximum in the other direction. It's not a minimum; it's the maximum in the other direction. Wavelength, that's the go away. Wavelength is the distance between two peaks or two crests or two troughs, because they're the same. We missed one. Amplitude. Amplitude is this one here, which is basically the intensity, how far it's moving. So transverse waves, what are they? They're what you think of when you think of the typical wave. A wave in the ocean is a wave like this. So basically, the medium, or the particles, which is what's moving here, they vibrate at right angles, so if we draw that there, right angles, to the direction of the energy. So the energy is being transmitted, propagated, or moving, those three words all mean the same thing, in this direction. And the particles are moving in this direction. An example of that is light, ocean waves, etc., etc. Then we've got longitudinal waves, also known as compression waves. So this is a wave that oscillates, which means moves back and forth. On the axis, there's the same direction that the particles are going. The energy is going. So you can see in here, this is a slinky, just to show you what it looks like, a spring. The energy moves backwards and forwards in this direction, all the while, the energy moves in straight that direction, okay? All the while, the particles are moving backwards and forwards here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and so forth. What it looks like, see, we can compare it to a transverse wave by saying, all right, in this peak is where all the compression is happening, and this trough is where all the rarefaction is happening. Rarefaction is what we call it when the particles are spread really far apart. Compression, they're spread together, so rarefaction is the opposite. So we go this to this, and yeah. Oscillates means moves backwards and forwards. This is also known as a compression wave. The example, compression is the crest, rarefaction is the trough. An example of this is sound. This is how sound moves through air. So I hope that made some sense. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye now.